Hey, what's up, people? Will here, back for another fight card prediction. I'm actually going to do two fight cards. We have two fight cards within the next week here. We have one on Wednesday from Atlantic City, where Donald Cowboy Cerrone main events against Jim Miller in a great fight in the lightweight division. And then this time next Saturday, live from Dublin, Ireland, where I will be, which I cannot wait for, Conor McGregor faces off against Diego Brandao. I'm going to get straight into these cards. Some good fights on both cards. More good fights, I would say, on the Atlantic City card on the Wednesday, which you probably expect because we get shafted for cards over here in Europe. But still should be a couple of decent cards. I'm really looking forward to Dublin myself next Saturday. We're going to start all the way down in the women's strawweight division, the very first fight ever in the UFC with the strawweights. We've got Claudia Gadelha against Tina Leidamaki. Leidamaki, she's 5-0. She's decent on her feet, but she doesn't like to stay on her feet. She's always got her hands really low. She charges in for the takedown, but she's very, very good when she gets to the ground. The only thing with this fight is Claudia Gadelha is a lot better on the ground than she is. So I think you kind of know where my pick's going to be going in this one. Gadelha, she hasn't fought nearly a year to the day. I think it was July last year where she fought Hamasaki in Invicta 6. Was supposed to face Carla Esparza for the title, I think, at Invicta 8, but couldn't make the weight and got ill. Was supposed to be in the new season of The Ultimate Fighter, but because of the weight issues, I think they decided against it. As I say, she's decent in the feet. She trains at Nova União, 11-0. She likes to trade, but she loves to get the fights to the ground, where she wins her fights, and she's very, very, very good in the ground. And I can see her overwhelming Leidamaki here and getting the win via submission in the second. Next up, we've got Denis Cedeno against Gerard Sanders. Cedeno, he didn't. I thought he should have beat Chavez in February at UFC 17, but I thought he looked absolutely terrible. Hopefully, he's shown some improvement since that fight. Gerard Sanders, he's been a guy who's I've seen a few fights, heavy hands, has cardio issues once he goes into the later round, but he pretty much lays and prays on you and gets victories. Most of his wins, I think he's 14-1. Most of his wins are by submission, but he is very heavy on the ground. If he gets you down there, it's very, very hard to buck off and get back to your feet with. And I can see that here. He's very rangy, but he leaves his head in the air and he tries to keep his hand out to stop him getting punched, and he always gets caught with hooks like he did against Ernest Chavez back in February. I think Gerard Sanders will win this fight, and I think he'll win it via decision, even though I think he's going to struggle to get through the fight without gassing really badly. Next up's a really good fight. We've got Hugo Viana against Aljamain Sterling. Viana 3-1 in the UFC. Nice KO of Ruben Duran, very good in his feet, very aggressive, very, very good footwork. If you watch his fights, watch his footwork, but he does leave his head and his chin in there a little bit, and he will get caught by Aljamain Sterling if he does it in this fight. His only loss in the UFC is to the champion of the bantamweight division, TJ Dillashaw. I'm a big fan of Aljamain Sterling. I'm a big fan of the race era, the Ray Longo, Matt Serra guys, Power MMA guys. Yeah, Eddie Gordon's, Chris Weidman's. I'm a big fan of the guys, and I've heard about this guy for a long time. Ray Longo actually told me himself. He faced Cody Gibson back at UFC 170. I think he was a little bit ill that week. I think he had the flu, so he didn't show his full potential, but he still managed to get the win. Very good in the ground, very creative with submissions, very funky on his feet. He'll throw a lot of spinning shit and teep kicks, and he will throw a lot of head kicks. He will try and knock you out as well. I like this fight for Sterling. I think it's going to be a tough fight for him, but it'll be a good fight for him, and I can see him winning this by decision. Next up, we've got Jessamyn Duke against Leslie Smith. This is going to be a stand-up fight. Jessamyn Duke's coming off a loss over Beth Correa, where she somehow thought she won that fight. Never in a million years. And Leslie Smith's coming off a loss in a UFC debut to Sarah Kaufman. I can't see this going to the ground at all. I think they're both going to stand up. They're both quite rangy, both quite long for the women's bantamweight division. This is a tough fight to pick. I'm a fan of Jessamyn Duke, so I hope Jessamyn wins, and I'm going to go Jessamyn Duke by decision. Next up, we've got a fight which could be a little bit of a spoiler. It's Gleison Tebow against Pat Healy. Both coming off losses. I think Healy's really in the chopping block here. He's lost 3 in a row, even though to the guys he's lost to are really top-notch guys. T-Bow's coming off a knockout loss, his first knockout loss in about 8 years. The last one was Nick Diaz at UFC 65 even, against Michael Johnson when he got knocked out earlier on this year. Both guys, very, especially Gleison T-Bow, he's stocky. He kind of loses his power when he goes into the second round, but he's got great wrestling, transitions very well down on the ground, moves very well. Pat Healy's just one of these spoilers that hasn't got great great stand up, but when he gets to the ground he's very heavy. He likes to transition about and just pound and try and get the decision victory. And I think that's what he'll try and do here. This is a coin toss. I think Gleison T-Bow will get a split decision. Very close fight though. Next up we've got Lucas Martins against Alex White. Good fight. Lucas Martins, he beat Junior Hernandez in Brazil last year. Was supposed to have another couple of fights. I think Aljamain Sterling was maybe one of them at one point. Sorry, that's wrong. It's a different division. He had a couple of fights and he got injured. I think the guy he was against got injured. Alex White came in the UFC. Esteban Payan, he looked very good in his feet. Esteban Payan hasn't got the best of head movement, and he's got a tough chin, but he got caught and Alex White took him out. I think he got a bonus that night earlier on this year, and he's coming in short notice here. This could be a great fight here, people. I'm going to side with Alex White, and I think he may just catch Lucas Martins coming in and hurt him with something like Lucas Martins did. He got caught against Edson Barboza, which is Barboza's a top guy, but this is in the featherweight division, so it might be a little bit, he might be the more aggressor in this fight, but I like Alex White just, so I'm going to go Alex White by, I think he might catch him by submission in the second round, so yeah. Next up, John Lineker against Alpaketlan Oskilic. I can either see this fight finishing really quickly, or I can see it being a really horrible fight, because both guys gas fairly easily. It'll be interesting to see if John Lineker can make the weight, because he hasn't done the last few times. Oskilic last time against Lewis Smoker, gassed big time after a round, and Smoker just dominated him. Really should have finished him, to be fair. He's a good wrestler, Oskilic, so keep an eye on that. Lineker, well, no, he's probably the hardest hitter alongside John Dodson in the flyweight division. So he's going to be looking for the knockout. Oskilic is going to want to take this to the ground. Lineker's coming off that loss to Bagotinov. I'm going to favour Lineker. I think he'll catch Oskilic as they both kind of gas out a little bit. So I'm going to go John Lineker by knockout in the second. Justin Salas against Joe Proctor. I'm going to go Justin Salas. I just think he's a little bit more well-rounded than what Joe Proctor is. But wouldn't surprise me one bit if Joe Proctor got the decision in this. But I'm going to go Justin Salas by decision. Next up we've got Rick Story against Leonardo Mafra. Mafra, this is his first fight since UFC 147, I believe. He's went out into the Brazilian promotions and he's won 4 or 5 fights out there. Likes to get the ground to fight to the ground. I don't think he'll do it against Rick Story. Rick Story's kind of, he wins one, he loses one. He beat Brian Ebersole. Then he lost last time out to Kelvin Gastelum. We all know he's a very aggressive fighter, great wrestling, very hard to take down, very stocky guy. Rick Story can knock this guy out if he wants to, and I think he will, so I'm going to go Rick Story by knockout in the second. Co-main event's a very good fight. We've got Edson Barboza against Evan Dunham. Barboza is coming off that loss to Donald Cerrone, in fact. Where he was actually hurting Cerrone and he got caught. I think it was that he was coming in, he got caught with a jab and then he just got taken out from there. Evan Dunham, one of the toughest guys in the lightweight division, actually lost to Donald Cerrone as well by submission. Barboza's better everywhere. Barboza's better on the feet. Dunham's not going to be able to get him down, I don't think. If he does, Barboza's going to get back to his feet fairly quick. So I'm going to go Barboza by knockout in the second again. And in the main event, we've got Donald Cowboy Cerrone against Jim Miller, and just a great fight. Personally think the winner of this fight will go on to face Khabib later on in the year. If Donald Cerrone shows up and has been the Donald Cerrone we've seen in the last few fights. I think he handles Jim Miller fairly decisively, but you can never count out Jim Miller because he's just a really hard guy to finish. He's only been beat by the best, like your Ben Hendersons and your Nate Diaz. He looked phenomenal that night against Jim Miller. But the thing is with Donald Cerrone, we don't know which guy's going to turn up. It's the guy that's when he's on, he is on. He looks unbelievable. When he's off, like he was against Diaz, against Pettis, he gets destroyed. But I'm going to go with Donald Cerrone, and I think he might. I think he'll actually hurt Jim Miller. Jim Miller looks a little bit susceptible to body shots, and I can see a liver kick hurting Jim Miller here and Donald Cerrone taking him out. So I'm ever so slightly going to side with Donald Cerrone in this one. So that's my fight picks for UFC Fight Night 45 from Atlantic City. I'm going to move on to UFC Fight Night 46 on the Saturday from Dublin, Ireland, which is going to be just people, I'm telling you, just watch it. It'll be in UFC Fight Pass. You will never have heard a crowd like it. It will blow the roof off the O2 Arena in Dublin. It's going to be a fantastic night. I can't wait for it. I'm pumped. I've already got my suitcase packed to the right of me right here, ready to go next week. We're going to start away down in the flyweight division. We've got Patrick Holohan against Josh Sample. Paddy Holohan, he fights at the SBG team, the Straight Blast Gym. 9-0-1. He's got one draw in his record, and he is a submission fighter with okay stand-up. He's improving in that over the last few fights. He had a head kick knockout against Damian Rooney 2 fights ago it was, but he likes to get the fight to the ground, and he will look here to do that. But Josh Sample is a better wrestler, and he's probably a better submission guy as well. So I am going to go. I'm really looking forward to actually seeing Josh Sample fight. I think he's a decent flyweight, and he lost to Zach Makowski last time out. So I'm going to go patch Josh Sample, by submission. Yeah, I'm going to go by submission. Next up, we've got Cody Donovan against Nikita Krylov. Not the best of fights. Loser of this fight gets the marching orders from the UFC. Cody Donovan's already 2-0, 0-2 in the UFC, and he hasn't got a chin. Nikita Krylov coming off a loss to Ovince St. Preux. He got choked out there. But this guy's been at heavyweight in the UFC, knocked out heavyweights. I think you can see where I'm going here. I'm going to go Nikita Krylov, even though he's not a great fighter. I think Cody Donovan's chin's just going to give in on him, and he's going to get knocked out. And I can see it being in the first round as well. So Nikita Krylov. Next up, we've got Tor Troning against Trevor Smith. Trevor Smith, I think he got submitted in Abu Dhabi, if I remember right. I know I didn't watch that fight card live because I was at work. Thales Leites, he got knocked out by Thales Leites in Abu Dhabi back in April. Tor Troning, he lost to Rafael Natal. Trevor Smith's going to try and take this fight to the ground, but we've seen what Tor Troning was like against Natal. He was very good, and his scrambles to get out of certain tough submissions and tough positions was very good. This is a very close fight. I think it will go to decision, and I'm going to just favour Tor Troing. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes to Trevor Smith. But if I was putting money on, I'd put it on Tor Troing. Next up, we've got Cathal Pendred against Mike King. 2 guys coming off Ultimate Fighter. A little surprised when this fight was put on, actually, because it was so close. Both guys lost to the eventual winner, Eddie Truck Gordon, who's actually going to be in Dublin next week. So I'm going to ask him a question who he thinks will win at the Q&A, so watch out for that. Cathal Pendred, he's a natural welterweight, former Cage Warriors welterweight champion. Mike King's 5-1 with 4 of his wins by submission. Very aggressive, he comes forward on his feet. You've seen that in the show. He didn't listen to BJ Penn, to Mark Coleman or anything. He got his own game plan, and he went for it, and it didn't work out against Eddie Truck Gordon, but still, this could be a very exciting fight. Cathal, I think, is going to look to try and take it to the ground and try and stifle Mike King, and I can actually see him doing it before he drops back down to his natural division of the welterweight division. So I'm going to go Cathal Pendred by decision. Next up is Neil Seery against Phil Harris. Why UFC do you have Phil Harris still in the UFC? Really nice guy actually to talk to, but guy is not UFC caliber one little bit. Actually got cut after he lost by submission to Gadelha in February, which I think that got March, sorry, which got overturned I think because Gadelha tested positive for something. So these two guys fought before back in Bama. Phil Harris I think got the decision, if I remember off the top of my head. Yeah, he did. Neil Seery, second fight in UFC, fought Brad Pickett back in London in a great fight. When it was a great fight to watch live, came home, watched it. It was a very, very good fight. I think a lot closer than what people actually thought. And he hurt Brad Pickett on the feet as well, so I can see him doing that to Phil Harris here. So I'm actually going to go, I think Neil Seery can win by decision, but I actually think he might knock out Phil Harris in this fight. So I'm going to go Neil Seery by third round TKO. Next up we've got Ilir Latifi against Chris Dempsey. I was looking forward to this fight when Tom Lawler was in it. Chris Dempsey's a natural middleweight, Latifi's a natural light heavyweight. Latifi any way he wants. So I'm going to go Latifi by showed a submission game last time out in London, so I'm going to go Ilir Latifi. Jumping on the main card, we've got Norman Park against Naoki Kotani. Kotani's 33-10-1, I think it is, with 25 wins by submission. But that is all he has. He doesn't have anything else. His striking is very poor. And Norman Park can finish this guy. But if it goes to the ground, Kotani is very, very sly in the ground, and he might catch something. But I like Norman Park by TKO in the first. Best fight on the whole entire card, Brad Pickett against Ian McCall here. This is a huge fight. We found out this week that John Dodson is out injured until 2015, and Demetrius Johnson is looking for challengers, and one of the only two guys, Dominic Cruz. Brad Pickett has beat Demetrius Johnson, so he wins this fight. He probably puts himself right at the top of the ladder for a title shot against Mighty Mouse. Ian McCall's already lost to Mighty Mouse before. He's coming off a win over Eliar Dos Santos. Brad Pickett coming off a win over Neil Seery, where he didn't look good. But when I seen him there before the weigh-ins, he looked very, very skinny. But he said he was feeling fine, surprisingly, but he didn't look it. The picture that I got taken with him wasn't great, and it said it kind of affected him a little bit. This time I think it should be a lot easier for him. Close fight. I can't believe that Ian McCall's the favourite for this, even though he's a natural flyweight. I'm going to go Brad Pickett by decision. Close fight. It'll be fight of the night, I reckon. Co-main event, we've got Gunnar Nelson against Zach Cummins. Everybody that's Gunnar Nelson's faced, he's pretty much run through. I thought he would have had a tough fight against Akhmedov in London. Absolutely flew past him. Got him to the ground, submitted him. The guy's got serious skills when it goes to the ground. But Zach Cummins' last win against Sean Cabral, Cabral is a very, very high level guy on his on the ground, and he's stifled, and he got out of positions that probably other guys couldn't. Very tough guy, very durable, decent hands as well. But I think Gunnar Nelson, as much as I say that Zach Cummins did well against Sean Cabral, I think Gunnar Nelson is going to just rise to the occasion and take him to the ground, and he's going to catch a submission. If I'm going to pick one, I think I'm got a rear naked choke. I think he'll do it in the second round. And the main event of the night, the notorious Conor McGregor is back, people, and that is a good thing for European MMA, Irish MMA, just MMA in general, because the guy is box office. No matter what you say, he talks his way into fights, and he does this and he does that. The guy, you can't help but look at what he's saying and watch the videos of him. I can't. I know a lot of my friends are going over next week. They can't. He's just, the guy is just, he draws you in. And he's actually got a better fight here against Diego Brandao than he did against Cole Miller, because he was going to steamroll Cole Miller. I still think he steamrolls Diego Brandao here, but he would have absolutely annihilated Cole Miller in no time whatsoever. And I reckon that Diego Brandao is going to shit his pants before he even reaches the cage in Dublin next weekend, because that crowd, Irish people are the best people in the world, but once they get behind a guy, it's fun to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Conor McGregor shows great angles, great footwork, really good striking, great uppercuts like he showed against Marcus Brimage. He's got wrestling like he's shown against Max Holloway. This guy just needs to get better fighters to show you how good a fighter he really is. Diego Brandao, he's gassy. He's got decent striking. He can go to the ground and win down there, but he's not going to do that against McGregor here. The only thing that kind of worries me is McGregor coming off this long injury, but he's been training for a long time now for this fight. And I think Conor McGregor takes him out in the first round like he did Marcus Brimage. And I can't wait for that fight. I cannot wait, and I hopefully gets paired up with Dustin Poirier. Two of my favourite fighters in McGregor and Poirier. Going to be tough if I ever have to pick a fight for that one because I'm a huge fan of both guys. But yeah, that's my fight picks for the next two cards, guys. I will be back for, I think it's a UFC on Fox card from San Jose, which is Lawler and Matt Brown. Great card in there with a few changes that have happened over the last few days. So yeah, come follow me on Twitter, BigBulba7MMA. I'd like to shout out to the usual two, Take the Piss, and are always very, very excited to watch my videos, and MMA fan Michael and Dicker410. Go follow those guys. I will be back for those picks in a few weeks' time. Enjoy the fights if you're watching them, and I will see you when I come back from Dublin. All the best.